I've been married to Mira for 3 years and we just had our son together a few weeks ago. Around this time, my in-laws, even Mira, have become very interested in me reconciling with my mom and having my sister and I be closer. We still talk, just not a lot. Background: when I was 16, I caught my mom cheating on my dad. She and the guy were in our house, in my dad's office, and nobody else was meant to be home. School finished early. Mom tried getting me to hide it from Dad. She attempted to be overly loving and told me it would destroy the family. She also tried to do the firm parent thing of "this is not your business." Dad realized something was wrong that night and we talked. The next day he took a day off work, and when my sister and I went to school they had it out and Dad kicked Mom out of the house. The whole thing rocked my sister. She wanted to know what happened and why we couldn't be a family anymore. Mom moved in with the affair partner. My sister couldn't figure out why I hated Mom. Mom insisted we come to see her new house, and I refused to talk until all the anger boiled over, and I told her that I hated her and that I never wanted to see her cheating face again. She told me she was my mom and that I couldn't stay mad at her. I told her she was dead to me. The cheating was one thing, but to try and force me to stay silent, to try and make me keep her nasty secrets, was even worse. I told her she was nasty and disgusting and that I didn't want to look at her. I was so mad. Mom did sort of admit to multiple affairs when she tried to use the "I was always a good mom" line, and admitted to being distracted by others at times instead of being a mom to us. My sister and I ended up with a strained relationship because I refused to have a relationship with Mom for her, and she refused to accept that what Mom did had involved me the second she told me to lie for her, and even when she wasn't a good mom to us, being distracted by other guys. I haven't seen my mom in 12 years. My sister and I see and talk to each other, but it's like distant cousins who see each other once every few years, not siblings. Neither were at my wedding. I didn't invite Mom. My sister wouldn't come because I told her she couldn't bring Mom. It bothers my in-laws and they want me to reconcile so my son could have a healthy and whole family. They tried to claim that 12 years was long enough to leave the past where it is. Mina, my wife, said she'd like our son to be around his grandmother and not grow up seeing his dad hate her, or at the very least, for my sister and I to be as close as we once were. I told her we'd talk about it later, and I told her family that it was not something I needed to discuss. They told me they disagreed, and I said they had no right to interfere in my life. They took offense to this. They said they were thinking of their daughter and grandson, and I was rude. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. They shouldn't dictate how you feel about something that directly affected you and your family. You've clearly decided that what happened with your mom is a defining moment in your relationship and have acted accordingly. Her actions irreparably damaged your family, your trust, and your dad's trust, and other people should have no say in the matter. Have a chat with Mira and express your boundaries. Hopefully she'll see where you're coming from. It sounds like it's time for the in-laws to learn to respect your wishes or be silent. Rude is expecting you to play happy families, and who even knows if she's changed and is a positive influence to have around? This is something you decide if and when she's ever allowed into your life again, and I suspect one day your sister may regret her choice when your mom betrays her too. But honestly, it sounds like you have a marriage issue more than an in-laws issue. I agree, your wife needs to stop listening to her parents' whispers in her ears and support you. Your mother was having affairs while you were still a child. 16 is also still a child. She tried to manipulate a child to lie on her behalf because she was too self-absorbed to put you first. She neglected your needs because she was too selfish to put you first. She caused a great deal of damage and a great deal of pain. Your in-laws need to show more respect here. Put your foot down hard, or they'll keep crossing your boundaries. My girlfriend, 28, was travelling and asked me, 30 male, to stay at her place and look after her dogs. She told me I could use her car for anything I needed during my stay. She has 2 cars but did not specify which, a Porsche 911 GT3 and a Toyota Camry. I used the Camry most of the time, but took the Porsche for a short road trip to a hiking trail with my friend, and I hired a dog sitter that day. We had fun with it in an empty field, but nothing too extreme or over what the car is rated for. When she got back, she noticed the Porsche was dirtier. I didn't leave it extremely dirty or anything, just a normal amount of dirty, and asked me if I used that car. I said I did, but only once. She got upset and said that I should have known when I said the car she meant only the Toyota, as she always refers to the Porsche as the Porsche or the GT3. She herself only uses that car for special occasions and sometimes takes it to a track, and our trip counted as a special occasion. She got the car checked as she claimed it felt different and came back with a costly maintenance quote and told me I should pay for the suspension and undercarriage damage parts of the bill. I feel like she's being an idiot. I only used it for one day, and I said I didn't know how maintenance was part of the deal and that I felt tricked. I offered to pay for the whole service of the Camry the next time it needs it. She got the other car knowing the maintenance is high for her hobbies and is trying to shift the maintenance cost to me. Am I the idiot? We did have fun with it in an empty field, but nothing too extreme or going over what the car is rated for. Yes, you are the idiot. Seriously, a field and a track are pretty different, and then you're surprised there might be a suspension and undercarriage problem. OP thought driving with his buddy to a field to burn out his girlfriend's Porsche while she was out of town was a special occasion. What the heck was OP thinking? This guy is 30. It's unfortunate that the girlfriend has excellent taste in cars but crappy taste in men. The fact that you took the Camry every time except once is a big indicator that you knew she meant the Camry when she said you could use her car. You also knew that even she only used it for special occasions. She also said you could use her car for things you needed, not for fun, which you admit to using the Porsche for. I don't know whether you damaged the car or not, wouldn't surprise me if you did, but at the end of the day, if you hadn't taken her car out to have fun in an empty field, there would be no question. No one tricked you. You screwed up. Update. I didn't know you couldn't use the car in fields, and my friend really wanted to try the car and pressured me to let him try it in the field, even though I was reluctant, but he assured me it wouldn't cause any damage. I will pay the bill in that case, maybe even the whole bill. I could afford it, and I doubt my friend would pay for it. I'm a young teen and I babysit for a few people in my neighbourhood. On Friday, I was babysitting for a couple that moved into the city from the south. They're only a block from my house, so my parents were okay with me staying there until 10. They said they would be home by 9. They didn't get home at 9. At 10:15, I started texting them to see if they were on their way. Then I called my parents. My mom came over because I was getting worried. It had snowed pretty badly on Friday and they weren't answering. At 11:30, we phoned the police. I was freaking out. The police got their names and address, and I guess they found their license plates like that. They found them in about 25 minutes. They were at their friend's house. They called me and they were mad that I called the police. I promised I wouldn't have called the police if they'd answered my texts or calls, and my mom was concerned as well. I didn't call them to get them in trouble. I was worried, but they told my mom that I was not mature enough to be babysitting if that's how I'm going to behave. I feel kind of bad that the police made them come home from their friend's house, but I think that they should have answered the phone. What if there was something wrong with the kids? Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The parents were taking advantage of you. You did everything you should have, including trying to reach them, contacting your mother, and then contacting the police. You've done nothing wrong. The parents are angry at being caught out on bad behaviour. When parents tell the person caring for their children, "We'll be back by X time," and they're not, then proceed to not respond to their phones. It's responsible to contact the authorities because literally anything could have happened to them. And in this context of there having been heavy snow recently, an accident would be a really obvious assumption. OP should never trust them again and should perhaps let Mom quietly spread the word about what happened so other potential babysitters are aware of how these people operate. Yes, OP, you sound really responsible. Good on you for checking in and calling your mom. Those are perfectly responsible and mature actions to take in that situation. I wouldn't sit for them again, ever. I wonder if the police will send CPS a message to follow up with the parents. They should apologise to you and your family. They're probably butthurt about feeling embarrassed in front of their friends for their utterly irresponsible behaviour. I, 21 male, have an acquaintance, 21 female, with whom I go to school. We have a couple of courses together and are doing group work for some of them, and are also in a student club together, so we see each other often on campus. We've known each other for about a year now. We were working late together on campus on a robot for our student club, and when it was time to go home around midnight, she asked me to walk her to her car, which was parked a 7-minute walk away. I wasn't comfortable and refused because I get uncomfortable on those streets at night, as there are people who seem to be weirdos who shout things and talk to themselves. I've never had anyone attack me, but it makes me uncomfortable. Additionally, she is a young woman and I'm not her boyfriend. I don't know if she has one, but if she did, he would probably not approve of it, and he could get mad at me. I have had boyfriends of girls I know do this before. The next day, she told me she was a little disappointed as she'd volunteered to walk with me between 2 campus buildings and back late at night on a different occasion when I had to fetch something from the other building. She also said that I could have dropped her to the parking and then taken a different room to my dorm from there, and not to have to pass through the sketchy street alone, which is true, or I could have taken her offer to drive me home. Am I the idiot here? Her volunteering to walk with me is not the same, as it wasn't as bad of a route and I never asked her to do so, even if I did take up her offer. And while it's true, I could have avoided them after dropping her, I'd still be uncomfortable if I encountered weirdos while with her. I don't want this to turn into a big issue as we work well together, and I'm hoping to keep doing group projects with her in other classes. You are the idiot. A person is telling you they're afraid and you did nothing to help. The excuse that a boyfriend might get mad is total BS. He would be happy that someone helped her out. Would driving her to her car really have cost you so much time? How would you feel if something had happened to her that night? You don't sound like a very nice person. Agree, but to emphasize, he literally invented a potential boyfriend who would have agency over this woman in his mind. An imaginary boyfriend's feelings matter more to this boy than a woman who has offered to walk in before so he wouldn't be alone. It's really messed up. Yeah, how sad that OP cares more about the feelings of a hypothetical boyfriend than he does about the feelings and safety of a female school acquaintance who has gone out of her way to help him in a similar situation. I'm laughing at how he is scared to walk there himself but let her walk alone. Like, it's called being a decent human. You should try it sometime. Dude, if you, as a man, feel uncomfortable and scared, how do you think she feels? She's more in danger than you. She asked you to go so you could protect her. I'm not saying you're an idiot, but this story reads like a parody, that you somehow don't get the irony of how you're so scared to walk there, yet you want her to go by herself. I promise that however uncomfortable those weirdos make you feel, it's 100 times worse for a young female walking alone at night. Geez, she should change lab partners. Legit. I was wondering if it was a parody before realizing it's not a parody. It's just sad. Leave genders out of this and OP would still be the idiot. And crazy. You're basically saying one of the reasons you did not walk her is because she's a girl. Update. I've apologized to her profoundly and said I was being an idiot. I'm not an idiot, and I know it can be dangerous for women. I would have done it for a friend or my sister, but I was being an idiot and not considering her to be a friend and more like a stranger I tend to meet occasionally, which was wrong of me. My longtime friend Beth, 33 female, and her husband John just had a son. When they were trying, Beth wanted me to be godmother and I was honoured. The problem is she's hardcore with her beliefs. She doesn't want to expose her child to anything she doesn't agree with. One of those things is my long-term boyfriend, Ira. Ira is bi. Beth had made her share of comments about this to the point I was ready to cut her off. She was playing mind games, insisting that because he was bi, he'd cheat on me and give me something, and it was disgusting I'd even touch him. She would even make comments toward him. Now, because she doesn't want her child to be exposed to anything against her beliefs, she told me I could still be godmother, but I could not let her child near Ira, mention Ira or his lifestyle, which simply consists of work, school, exercise, and gaming. I thank Beth for asking me, but it was the final straw, and I explained our friendship was over and never to contact me. Since the arrival of her son, I guess she's been struggling. She called me crying hysterically, saying she needed help, hated her son, and needed someone to take him for a while. I said, Beth, after the way you treated my boyfriend, why the heck would I do that? And hung up. This is, of course, where I could be the idiot. Now, I did contact both John and Beth's mom immediately after I hung up, explaining she was in a bad state and needed someone. They both went to help her. Beth's husband messaged me implying I was an absolute vile monster who deserved a burn for how I acted, which was extreme. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. The fact you made sure to reach out to someone to help her shows your maturity. A lot of people wouldn't do that just out of spite. It sounds like she may have postpartum depression, which can spiral downward if she doesn't get help, so it truly is a good thing you reached out. Good for you for calling John and Beth's mom. This could have been a dangerous situation for the child, and even if you don't like Beth anymore, this child deserves a kind person to help them. But the husband is the idiot. Imagine having so many rocks in your head that when you hear someone is in crisis, your first instinct is to go, "Hey, let me call the person who notified me about someone being in a crisis a vile monster." Like, bro, go help your wife. Vile monster? No, John, that's your wife. Beth probably told her husband another story about the possible intervention of their mothers in their life. Threw you figuratively under the bus. But I only feel bad for her child and what damage she will inflict on him. How can she hate her child? Did she think a kid would come out and fit into her delusion of a perfect family? Boy, I hate such people.